the business continuity planning data is really kind of the backbone of our response. It's basically our record of where all our parts are made, our products are made, where addresses are for plants, contact information in terms of who we can contact if a plant goes down or there's some type of impact, and then all the things I mentioned before around qualification, around what's the actual risk within that specific location. Now, the challenge is, as I mentioned, is that we've got over 1,000 direct suppliers, and then you can multiply that by, a factor of 10 when you start thinking about our sub-tier, all our suppliers to our suppliers, if you will. And maintaining that database is a constant challenge for us, simply because we're bringing new suppliers on all the time, we're offloading suppliers, we've got new product introduction programs that are happening that are using suppliers that are not in our system, or part of this whole process of refreshing business continuity planning data, if you will. And we also have a number of acquisitions. I mean, Cisco has always been an acquisition machine. At any given time, we've probably got 10 to 12 companies that we're actively integrating that are not in our systems, our enterprise systems, and are therefore not part of our business continuity planning data. So we face kind of two challenges, and to your point, I think that was an Achilles heel for us, because you can only build a framework like this and operate it based on the quality of the data and your knowledge of where your suppliers are at and what parts they're actually making. So the two challenges that we had were, first, one, completeness of data. So I think even at our best effort, and we run the business continuity planning program on a yearly basis, we probably only have about 80 to 85% of our actual supply base, if you will, or partner base in our system at one time. And again, that extra 15% is very challenging to get, simply because that part of our supply chain is in flux, again, because of new product introductions or acquisitions. So, you can create a picture like this, but it's never going to be complete. And it's those corner cases, the things that you don't know, that you're not actively mitigating, that are going to become, a real challenge for you, farther on down the line as part of an incident response. So that's the first challenge, is completeness of data. The second is really accuracy of data, because if you think about it, again, working through, my team has to work through the sourcing management group, global sourcing management, through to the suppliers, and we do this on a survey basis. We have this whole web tool that we use. In that translation and in that sort of handoff with the data, you're always going to have inaccuracies in data. So for instance, we may get data for a specific supplier, but it may not show the actual plant where, or facility where a component is actually being manufactured. It may be the headquarters, or potentially, let's say the contact that we have has suddenly, at a supplier, has actually moved on to a new role, and we don't have, the most recent contact. There's always going to be that churn, and that was a real challenge for us as well. So again, one of the things that we've tried to do as part of the postmortem and as part of the continuous improvement of the program is identify where we can get better data and more complete data, simply by increasing the cycle by which we collect data, and then also just simplifying the survey that we use. We find that, if I think our business continuity planning survey was probably about 50 questions. We slimmed it down now to about 20, just to get the actual critical information that we need to go run a program like this. So a couple slides I can just show you on this. So for instance, as I mentioned, BCP is a cycle for us. We're running it on a survey basis. You can see that we have the ability through a web-based tool to essentially pull together a snapshot of our entire supplier and partner base worldwide. So for instance, you can just see a high-level picture, kind of using like a Google Maps tool. Every single little dot that you see on the map there is actual supplier or partner, and then we can zoom in on it and create a picture, as I mentioned, like this, and then begin populating it based on ground level data. So it's a very powerful process and a very powerful set of tools that we use, but there's always going to be challenges based on the scope, scale, and kind of drumbeat, if you will, of an enterprise as large as Cisco.